Here we are, homecoming. Okay, Marshall week, week 4 of the college football season for us. And this football team, coming off a hard-fought game versus Nevada, got back late yesterday or early in the morning, however you want to see it. Came out, practiced in the afternoon, and again, like this football team has traveled, sort of tested itself a little bit. Has a decent understanding in week 3 of where we are as we move towards Marshall. And what we have to do in week 4 for us is level out the consistency by which we function in the red zone. This football team is capable of scoring points. We need to do so. You look at our health coming into this ball game. I think we're pretty good, and we've continued to get better defensively. We had some big plays show up on both sides, and in special teams, there's some things to clean up. But when I look at this football team continues to aspire to be better, and we're going to continue to work on the things that give us a chance week in and week out. But we know this week our challenge is scoring points and making sure that we defend well as playing special teams. So excited about the contest, excited about what's in front of us, and I know I'm going to get some questions about homecoming, but like to us, man, in the football game is what matters.
Coach, you guys have shown improvement every week this season, and you got your first win against Nevada over the weekend. How do you take that next step and build on that going into Marshall?
Yeah, consistency, right? We have some areas that we know, need to improve and that we can improve in, and I think what we talk about is quality versus quantity. You can practice 3 hours or you can practice an hour and 15 minutes. The bottom line is the quality of the work allows you to gain confidence. Okay, the consistency allows you to win, right? So that's where we're at right now, man. We're deep diving, man, for this quality of work, man. Whether we talk about communication, whether we talk about guys being on the same page, whether we talk about chemistry and function, all those things got to happen, and they got to happen. It happens organically, but we're just speeding up that process. Okay, less equals more.
Looking at Marshall's offense, they've used 3 different quarterbacks, and I believe at least 2 every game.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for an offense like that they can throw multiple things at you at once?
That's almost what we've seen all season. So I don't think that's anything new for our defense. I mean, I think we've seen 2 quarterbacks in almost every game that we played. Other than Wisconsin. So I think just the idea of understanding who they are, what's their DNA, and then preparing for that. That's sort of what we went into with this last game. Thought Purdy would be the quarterback. They showed us a different quarterback, and really, when it was all said and done, their DNA was still their DNA. So I think you look at teams' DNA, who they are and what they want to be, they're not going to change too far from that just to get into, a week 4 contest, getting on the road. I think they're going to be who they are. Those quarterbacks are all very similar. I know Zion Turner, I recruited him out of St. Thomas Aquinas. He wound up going to UConn, and he looked like he was the starter versus Georgia. But then you see how the carousel has gone. So for them, if that's the way they do it, then what we're going to do is defend football and not worry about who's playing quarterback.
You said in the past game that game exactly showed you all what you're made of. Mm-hmm. Coming into this homecoming week, how do you think you are going to continue that momentum to just strive for more success?
Well, here's the thing, right? A lot of pressure on us to score in the last 2 drives and score touchdowns, right? We've learned over the last couple of weeks, whatever we can focus on, we can apply some pressure to and actually become better at. So let's apply pressure to ourselves. Let's start in quarter number 1. Let's apply some pressure with having the football, scoring points. Let's apply some pressure getting off the field, and let's play well in special teams. And let's try starting fast and see where that takes us.
Coach, you're going to see a familiar player in Marvin Myers this week. Mm-hmm. What's it like going up against a former guy you coached?
Yeah, man, Marvin, is having a good season. Marvin is physical. He was a great special teams player, man, who actually got better, playing the corner position, and he's starting for them. He's playing well. I'm proud of what he's doing, and I wish him well. But man, we look to compete on Saturday. So right now, I'm more focused on us than I am Marvin.
The last win at home was Kennesaw State in last October. What needs to happen to win these home games?
Yeah, I'll go back to it. I don't think you're going to hear me deviate from it a whole lot. Like consistency, right? I mean, we're getting opportunities. We're getting opportunities to get off the field. We're getting opportunities to put ourselves in the red zone. We just got to execute at a higher level, and that's where the focus is. We're getting there now. It's just about functioning at a higher rate in order to be the type of football team that we need to be.
Marshall's defense the last 2 games has been outstanding, especially on the front 7. Just talk about the challenges that they present this week.
They're big up front. The backers move well. They do a good job of applying pressure, and when you watch them, right, they do a pretty good job of building a wall, setting edges. I think, like any good defense, they communicate well. Okay, and they found themselves in a position where they're not giving up explosives. That's what you got to do. You got to limit explosive plays. When you can do that, man, the scores go down and opportunities go up.
Coach, I know y'all are looking forward to this weekend against Marshall, but I want to go back to one specific play last week. The first touchdown against Nevada. Najee catches it about the 5-yard line, and the whole offensive line comes and just pushes him in for the score. What does that say about the heart of this team at this point in the season?
Well, they're still finding themselves, right? I think a lot of that is chemistry and these guys learning one another. What we saw last week was our quarterback, our leader, do a really good job at keeping us in the fight. And at the end of the day, sort of, willed us. And when, your quarterback displays that type of will, okay, man, and ferociousness in terms of how he plays, I think, man, it becomes contagious. But when you talk about it, those guys are starting to lean into one another. I told these guys, man, their best superpower is them. It's not your own individual talents, man. Football's the ultimate team game. So the superpower comes from this idea that you lean into each other, and when you do, you can accomplish special things.
Coach, I believe it was that play that Cox went down injured. What's his status looking like ahead of Marshall this week?
Who, Najee Cox?
Yeah.
And Najee Cox came back and played the rest of the game. So I don't think that's. I mean, I saw him out there running yesterday. It looked good to me. It's like anything else, man. The dude plays a certain way. He plays physical. I mean, he makes physical catches. He blocks on the perimeter. He just happened to have about, 1,400 pounds of man squash him. So I think, like on that particular play, man, it was more about trying to get a second win than it was anything else.
Talk about Juwan Gaston and the day he had.
Yeah, Jawan's Jawan's an adventure, to say the least, man. I love Jawan, man. Jawan is colorful, man. Yeah, man, he's colorful. He plays the game a certain way. He's learning how to play within the infrastructure of what we have, and that accountability by his teammates, man, is gonna allow him with his talents and abilities to be a big time playmaker for us. I mean, he's got great vision, and he understands football. Just learning how to communicate and making sure, man, that he allows his teammates as well as like himself to play within the structure of what we do. Sometimes, man, when you're just doing your job, the ball hits you in the face. Man, he had 2 opportunities. One where he got off the hash, he saw the throw, it gets tipped up by a corner, ball hits him in the face. Okay, the next one, man, he's sitting in the end zone, being exactly where he's supposed to be, reading the quarterback eyes, ball hits him in the face. I think that's what Juwan can do because he's got great vision, he's got great instincts. The biggest thing, like for all of us, man, is just we just keep playing within the structure of what we do. And I tell you what, these players make it come alive. It's not the X's and O's, it's truly the Jimmies and Joes.
We now have a question on Zoom from Jonathan House. Jonathan, you're up.
Hey, I hope you can hear me. Coach, you mentioned earlier that y'all were getting back to being healthy. Can you give us any kind of injury update on Alex Mitchell and a couple of your other key guys that are out?
No, those guys are working every day to get better. Like no updates as of now. If there's something as we get closer to the game, I'll let you know.
Anything else, Coach? Okay, thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Let's go, Blue.
All right, student athletes.
Morning. Nick, I'll start with the obvious. Able to come back late against Nevada. I know you talked about it after the game, but walk us through that feeling, being able to walk it off against Nevada.
Yeah, I think just the feeling of winning. that's what we're all chasing here. That's what we're here to do. I think that's what everyone in the locker room and in this building wants to do. So anytime you can get a win, you're going to feel good, and especially in the way we did it, kind of like walking it off like that, it was pretty cool. But I mean, like I said, like, that was just the defense continuously gave us an opportunity to go out on the field and to put points up on the board, and like it took to the very end, but no one gave up, and it was a good feeling to watch our guys like just fight and give effort to the very last snap, and that's what won us that game.
And on that game-winning drive, I believe it was you connected with 5 different guys. What clicked for you in that moment as you were able to go down and get the winning touchdown?
I mean, I don't think it's anything that like all of a sudden, it was just like, it just randomly clicked. I think that, throughout the game, we never gave up. Guys never laid down. They continually played with effort. And like you said, what was it, five different guys on the last drive? I mean, that just shows like everyone's involved. Everyone is keyed in all the time. And I mean, we have multiple guys who the ball can get to, and they can make plays with it. And that's just we just have to build on it, build with consistency. And that's just kind of what we did. We have to lean on our playmakers in times like that, and our guys showed up. And when it was time to make a play, plays were made, and we pulled it out in the end. So that was really good to see.
Nick, you mentioned you guys just didn't quit throughout the whole game, and offense was hard to come by until those final 2 drives. How do you kind of take that success and put it together for 60 minutes as the season goes on?
Yeah, I think you obviously we watched the tape yesterday. We were honest with ourselves, like what went wrong. We had 3 red zone trips when we came away with 0 points, and obviously like that's not going to win you a lot of ball games just with looking at that itself. So we had to be honest with ourselves, like what wasn't going right for us. And on those first 3 red zone trips, obviously negative plays you can't have in the red zone, penalties you can't have in the red zone, because that's whether it's gonna keep you from the opportunity of scoring a touchdown or knock you out of field goal range. Like those are things that as the season goes on, or like even as an individual game goes on, like those are things that add up. And like again, I'll say like credit to the defense. Like there's a lot of times where we put the defense in tough situations and they just did their job and gave us the ball back, and we were able to do our job at the end of the game. But we have to be better in the red zone, less penalties, less negative plays, and that's where we could kind of learn from it, and obviously just build off the good stuff that happened in the fourth quarter.
Obviously, Najee's been a dog for you guys this season, but Cam Lacey and Miles Butler stepped up big time on Saturday. Can I just talk about how vital those guys are to the offense and what they bring whenever you can get those 2 plus Najee involved?
Yeah, I think, Najee obviously has been just such a competitor from the moment he's got here. I think since he got here in the spring, and we've been able to see him grow, I think, as a person and as a wide receiver. He's really been outstanding. He's been like a really good just receiver to have. That guy will go up and make plays. He's aggressive in the air. He's aggressive at the point of attack. He runs great routes. He's physical in terms of blocking, obviously blocking for Cam and Miles on those quick screens you saw on Saturday. He's everything you want in a receiver and as a person, as a teammate. And obviously Miles has been doing it for a long time now. You saw him last year. He's been getting involved this year again, and he's been doing a great job. He's a leader. He kind of teaches all those guys in that wide receiver room, like, this is how you should do things, and this is how things need to get done if you want to win. And then, you kind of saw Cam on Saturday have an increased role, and he's someone who I think since the moment he's got here, I knew that kid was a baller. Everyone sees it. The way he practices, the way he goes about taking care of his body and everything off the field is really a testament to just kind of the player he is and the player he wants to be. And I'm really proud to just see like some of his hard work come to light and him have a good game. And I continue to expect great things out of Cam and really all those guys, because that's a good room and they work really hard.
You seem to really establish the run with the running back room with Jaquel and Ricky. How important is that to keep that going, especially you won the game? How important is that to winning the game and keeping that going moving forward?
Yeah, I think, having a balanced offensive attack is going to be key, right? You need to be able to keep the defense honest. You need to be able to run the ball and also throw the ball like when you need to, whether it's short yardage situations in the red zone. We have a talented running back room. Jaquel's one of the most talented running backs I've been around. Ricky adds another aspect of some experience, some leadership, whether it's on the field. Like Ricky is a very vocal leader on the field. Encouraging guys, even in like throughout the course of a drive, like Ricky, right after a play, whether it's a run, whether he's blocking, like he's very vocal, encouraging guys, and that's really good to see. And like we had some success on Saturday. We need to build on it, because having a balanced offensive attack is gonna just allow us to be better as a unit.
Two questions. Number one, there's always value in winning. Is there even more value in winning the way you did on Saturday?
I don't know. That's tough to say because at the end of it, like, our goal is to win. And, the way we won, no win's ever the same. You're going to find different ways to win every time you play the game. I think what it showed us, what it showed this team is like, hey, like, you guys, we can win, right? You start off the season, you go 0-2 the first 2 weeks of the season. You go out west, you have a long flight, first 3 quarters don't go how you want, but you fight, you consistently fight, you give effort till the very last snap, and then, it showed everyone that, hey, like, we can do this. We can go out there, we can play with the best of them, we can win, and, I think that's important for our guys to see, but, I think like I said, like, the effort and the resiliency throughout the course of that game was really good for everyone, and I think we kind of got closer to each other throughout that, so that was really good to see.
That being said, Coach talked about it. To take the momentum of that, self-impose the pressure early in the game and start fast.
Right. Well, I mean, I think, like, you see, like, our first drive versus Wisconsin, our first drive versus Nevada, like, we were moving the ball. We had good success. We were running the ball well. We were throwing the ball well. We got down into the red zone. Now we just need to finish, right? We were able to get 3 on the first drive versus Wisconsin. We would have liked to score a touchdown and get 7. The first drive versus Nevada, we're moving the ball really well. We get into the red zone. We take a couple negative plays. We knock ourselves out of field goal range. Like, that's on us as an offensive unit. We need to get better at that. And I think when you talk about not putting pressure on ourselves, like, really just doing our job. We have to do our job in order to finish those drives, and then we can, we help our defense out by putting up 7 on the board, and let those guys go do what they do best and get us the ball back.
You could visually see a sense of relief from you whenever you punched it in on Saturday. I know it's been a lot for you guys the past couple of weeks, but what is the energy like, especially in the locker room, day in and day out, just for you all to really make sure that you're putting more on the board?
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things. Like, I think the energy within the locker room, even after the first 2 weeks, was still very high. Guys were confident. Guys had a lot of energy. And I think going into Nevada, guys were confident. Guys had a lot of energy. And there was never a time throughout that game, through the first 3 quarters, where guys got down on themselves. Guys started turning on each other, pointing fingers. And that's something that's very easy to do. But I think we have a mature group. We have guys who lean on each other, who are close to each other, who when times get tough, hey, like, we look to one another and we're like, listen, this is what we need to do to win this ball game. This is what we need to go out there and do, and we're going to get it done. And like I said, when it came down to it, defense got us the ball back. We were able to lean on each other. Our playmakers made plays. We got in the end zone, and at the end of the day, we just had to score more points than they did. And, defense gave us an opportunity to score, and we did that, and we just have to build on that moving forward. Thank you, guys.
Parker, you all continue to shut it down up front and even in the backfield, but for you all looking at the herd, what are your main focuses heading into this week for homecoming?
Yeah, I mean, it's a home game, and they're a good team. We just got to do what we do, play discipline, gap sound football, continue to build a wall, set an edge, track a hip, play physical every play.
Talk a little bit about a little inside football here. When games started, in their first drive, all of a sudden they throw out a quarterback that you didn't expect to start. How do you all, kind of run a fire drill there and get ready for that?
Yeah, we prepared for Purdy the whole, all week long. We thought he was going to start. Ended up, the guy came in. We saw him in the coaching points on the sideline. He liked to throw the ball, so we was going to get ready for, them throwing the ball, but. Yeah, I mean, you just got to continue to play defense how you play. I mean, it doesn't change the fact, like, this week there's 3 there's 3 quarterbacks that they play. You just got to continue to do your brand of football and then keep doing that. But yeah.
One other look back on their last drive to try to get in position for a field goal. What was the defensive plan there? Obviously to keep everything in front of you, but talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're just trying to, keep them obviously from scoring or getting a field goal. You just got to play top down. Everybody just rally to the ball when they do. Don't let nothing – you can't bite cheese. I mean, they're going to throw something in front of you. Like we say, don't bite the cheese. That's what we say. And you just can't bite that, because they're going to shoot something over the top, behind you. So that's something that, we work on in practice. We work on 2-minute drill all the time in practice. Obviously there's 20 seconds left, but, that's something we work on every single day. We just got to continue to take the coaching points and the details of it and get better from that.
Parker, you told me three weeks ago against Onset P, quote, it's not going to happen again. What's different this time around?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've improved week by week. You know, we want to get a home win here. You know, it's something that we've been looking forward to. You know, as far as the game comes, you know, we're just trying to compete every day. I mean, like I said, when you interviewed me, you know, it was emotional at that point because, you know, it was a bad loss. But, you know, this week we're looking to see the fans out there and continue to do what we do and then continue to improve and get a win.
Parker, in week 1 and then, of course, over the weekend, you guys faced 2 quarterbacks and you had to adjust on the fly. You know, going up against Marshall where they have multiple options at quarterback, do you think those experiences kind of help you maybe adjust on the fly if they throw multiple guys at you?
Yeah, like I said, man, we just got to play our brand of football. I mean, it's that simple. You know, we've seen 2 quarterbacks, 3 quarterbacks. You know, we just got to continue to do what we do, play discipline. We'll be all right.
Your quarterback, Nick Vadiato, talks about how you guys over the last few weeks have been really, really key, giving them opportunities to get the ball back and score. How much confidence does that give you and the rest of the guys that, the team in general has so much confidence in you?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you give 11 the ball, we all believe in him. You know, he's going to go out there and make plays. You know, we're just trying to be disciplined in what we do and get off the field on 3rd down and continue to do that the rest of the season and give that offense. We got tons of experience over there, you know, as far as the running back with Jaquel. And give those receivers weapons. You know, they're weapons, so give them a chance to go down and make plays.
Anything else for Parker? All right, Parker, thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank